Ford FS1 College Hoops Tip-Off is sponsored by Ford. Going further so you can. We are in Cincinnati, home of Xavier on senior night. And guys like J.P. McCura and Trayvon Blewett have meant so much to this program. And tonight, against the Providence Friars in the first of two in the Big East, we will help settle championship time in conference regular season play. There you see the numbers. The Musketeers have a chance to clinch their first ever Big East title with a victory tonight, a half of it. And the Providence Friars have plenty at stake tonight as well. As you look at this, there's no denying that Ed Cooley's team would remove all doubt that they belong in the NCAA tournament field with a victory on the road against this proud Xavier program. And for the Musketeers, a chance not only to clinch their first ever Big East piece of a title, but possibly an outright #1 seed for the Big East tournament and for the NCAA's Jim Jackson, provided they win out the rest of this week. So much at stake.
Well, so much at stake, but for the seniors, talking about Sean O'Meara, J.P. McCura, and also Trayvon Blewett, they could be the first to win an outright Big East title. Yeah. The first for a #1 seed in the Big East tournament, but also a #1 seed in the overall tournament, so NCAA. So it's a lot on the line. And for Providence, they've proven they can beat Xavier and Villanova, but that's been at home. Can they come here and do it on the road? We'll see.
This would be at the very top of the quadrant, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Here are the starting lineups. Keep an eye on Kyron Cartwright. He is the straw that stirs the drink for the Friars. Quentin Gooden has certainly become a quality leader, and Najee Marshall perhaps the most improved Musketeer throughout the course of this season. Look at the numbers for Cartwright in that game played back in January. He was incredible in that matchup, and there is absolutely no denying he's got to be that good or better tonight.
Well, it's all about being engaged for Kyron Cartwright, being assertive, being a leader, but also being a communicator on the court when he's active. This is a totally different Providence team when he plays with energy.
And the opening tap is controlled through the Friars. O'Meara right away takes an alley-oop opportunity and sends it back the other way. Blewett in the open floor gets the layup to go. Our officials tonight, Jeff Clark, John Gaffney, and Tony Chiazza. Bullock with the dribble handoff to Cartwright. Blewett with outstanding defense there, but the ball was kicked. It'll go the other way. As you look at Chris Mack, in his 9th season now at his alma mater, 211 wins. That's the most in school history. Past Pete Gillen in that position. His teams have been in Sweet 16s, made it all the way to the Elite 8 a year ago as an 11 seed, which is right about where Providence is looking to be right now, according to our Howie Schwab. That one off the heel, and it's run down by Khalif Young.
And one thing Providence is going to have to do is match, you see in transition, his jump shot, is match the emotion and energy of the Xavier team, especially because it's senior night. They want to go out with a bang, so let's keep an eye on the body language and the energy and effort from Providence, in particular on defense.
O'Meara with a sweet move. Tries to follow, and the ball was deflected by Young. It's out of bounds. Will be controlled to Xavier.
And it's going to be a steady diet, I think, with O'Meara inside, also Tariq Jones against this Providence team to kind of get the ball inside the paint, force Providence, condense that defense a little bit, and if you don't have the shot as a post player, now you're able to find your shooters on the perimeter.
Blewett off the inbounds. Young very active on the glass early for Providence. Here comes Cartwright. Building packed to capacity for this emotional evening in Cincinnati. Here's Cartwright right into the teeth of that Xavier defense, and he gets the first hoop of the night for him. That could be a real good sign for the Friars.
Well, he was very assertive. He knew exactly where he wanted to get to. The pick and roll was popped off, but he was able to cut down the middle of the lane, saw the gap. Then again, being aggressive, able to finish inside for two.
That one's too strong. Nice work by Najee Marshall on the glass, but he walked. Ed Cooley, talk about a destination location. He turned this job into just that for him. Now in his 7th season, 4 consecutive NCAA tournaments. First time in program history. 72-74 with the great Dave Gavitt. You have to go that far back, and that is saying a great deal.
Well, I love spending time talking to Coach Cooley because the ultimate players coach. He's not going to sugarcoat anything, but he loves these young men. He loves to compete as a coach, and it shows with the way his team plays.
That's a walk. Right in front of Najee Marshall. That is going to be a really interesting story. How Najee, a really solid defender, but much taller than Cartwright. How he handles the little guy from time to time on switches when Gooden is not on him.
Well, it's all about to stay in your position, stay down, use your length if you're Najee Marshall.
O'Mara rejected but fouled by Young. Well, Xavier made their first shot. They've now missed their last 5 before that foul. Khalif Young picks up his first.
Well, the flash to the post opened up over the top right here. Flash up over the top. Quick decision by JP to get inside to O'Mara. And those are the quick hitting plays that are tough to guard because you want to take away a shot from JP. But then excellent job of sealing inside and presenting that left hand. O'Mara where the ball needed to be. Perfect delivery.
Young man has really forged his way into an outstanding career. Illinois, Sean O'Mara. Well, Providence with 5 trips offensively, 3 turnovers.
You have to value the ball, especially here at Xavier, because you're not going to get a lot of easy opportunities, so you can't turn it over in your half-court set. You'd rather get a shot than a turnover. We see another one. That pass was behind.
It's a nice idea, but Young just threw the ball behind him.
Yeah, behind Lindsey.
The cut was beautiful. He would have been there had the pass been on point. Macura, handled by Alpha Diallo. Blew it with a 3-ball. Now, if he gets out of the gates quickly, look out.
Well, patience. That's being a senior, not in a rush to get to his open spots, kind of set the screen-to-screener action, then was able to get his shoulders squared up and feet underneath him to knock in that long jump shot.
All 7 for the Musketeers have come off Providence turnovers. Cartwright, nice look at him. Better slip, everything but the finish, and there's a foul. On the look for the offensive rebound, Bullock, he was fouled.
Right, this is how you work well without the ball right here. Trayvon Bluin is going to come down, and then he's going to get another screen coming off of here after he sets it for JP Macura. But watch here, screen to screener, set, splash, top of the key. Seniors get it done, baby.
What's that old saying? If you're going to go to a place and they run a lot of stuff for you and you have a lot of stuff run for you, you know how that feels.
Oh, I love it. Even if it wasn't ran for me, I made sure it was ran. I made sure to get the right kind of touches, Timmy B.
Yes, you did. And it's a bump by Bullock. And another foul committed. Yet another, this time not a live ball, but turnover nonetheless as Khalif Young and Rodney Bullock picking up that foul.
Yeah, another empty possession for this Providence team. Again, the emotion in the building, you can't get wrapped up into it. What I mean by match the emotion is that the attention to detail has to be there offensively and defensively for Providence. Cut down on those turnovers early.
Boy, Diallo is blanketing Macura. Blew it, set sail again. This one comes off the heel, and we've got a foul. Underneath, might have been Diallo. He and Macura getting with it a little bit. Did we get a technical? I think we got a technical. I think we may have gotten a technical to go with it. We'll check on it when we come back. I think Tony Chiazza may have whistled up a fryer. Stay tuned. Jeep Grand Cherokee. Well, it's the first of its kind in the North America. Back in 2016, it takes over 3 minutes to purchase, all right? That's all. Cook it, serve it hot, fresh pizza. 4 or 5 types are generally available. Pepperoni, the biggest seller. Only $7 to $10 depending on the style, Jimmy Jackson, that you'd like to have.
I like brick oven.
How far we've come, huh?
I like brick. I like my pizza coming right out the brick oven. I don't know about a machine right there. I'm a little weary of that.
All right, let's clean up what happened at the end. There was a double technical between Alpha Diallo and JP Macura, but it's significant. That's the hold. That's a clear foul there. Now comes the technical, right? Boom and boom, that Tony Chiazza has, and that means a second foul because the technical counts as a personal. And Diallo, who was assigned to guarding Macura, the number 2 option on this Xavier team, is now forced to sit. Not good news at all in that double technical trade-off for Ed Cooley.
Well, Jonathan Paul Macura can get under your skin. You just have to control your emotion. He induced it. But listen, you know that's the kind of player he is, and he uses that to his advantage. For good for him. But Alpha Diallo has to be smarter than that, and now he finds himself watching from the sideline.
And an unfortunate break there as Isaiah Jackson just into the game. Could not corral that rebound, so it'll be controlled to Xavier underneath their own hoop.
And early on, Providence 5 turnovers, only 1 made field goal, only 3 attempts. So you have more turnovers than you do shot attempts. Got to reverse that trend.
A little isolation off this mismatch for Blewett against Cartwright.
Beautiful too, because that time Trayvon Blewett was eyeing the middle of the court, checking out to see if the double team was there, but he's also setting himself up for that turnaround to have enough space on the baseline where the help couldn't come, and just shot over the smaller Cartwright.
He's got 7 of their 9. Watson working in on O'Mara. Gets the job done, and we'll get to the free throw line. That's the first on Shaw.
But watch the eyes. Right here in the middle, no double team coming. Okay, well, guess what? You're too small. I'm too good.
This young man at the free throw line, Nate Watson, the freshman from Arlington, Virginia. Still learning on the defensive end, but from an offensive standpoint, it's really coming together for him. As you see, Cantor, the grad student that's also been very effective, a part of this 3-headed monster in the low post that Chris Mack has into the game for the first time.
Well, Nate Watson, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals versus Georgetown. But talking to Ed Cooley, he said he's 2 points waiting to happen when you get it down low. And he's still learning how to use his body and score, but the potential is there.
Blewett can't get it to go. Cartwright takes the rebound down off the deck and sprints to the other end. On the wing, Lindsay. Offensive rebound. White gets it, triggers it back out to Cartwright. Malik White, number 4, into the game as Ed Cooley's now been forced to go to his bench. Watson setting the high pick. Jackson rolls in, and the birthday boy of a day ago, Isaiah Jackson, gets into the scoring column.
But the swing, you see the easy basket right here, say for Jackson, the swing, opened up the lane, and Gooden that time on the defensive end didn't come back to help to stop dribble, but he made up for it on the offensive end with an easy basket out of their secondary break.
Jackson working on Blewett. Cartwright likes that spot on the floor. That one falls off the heel, and here comes Macura the other way. Great pass. Just a tremendous bounce pass entry on the run to Cantor. Timeout, Providence. They know what's at stake. You bet they do.
When you hear Domino's, you think
disappointing season low, 2 points at Georgetown, but not at home. Right now, early in the game, making his presence felt. 3 for 6, 7 points, whether it's on the post, shooting jump shots. He's got the full arsenal, and trust me, he wants to leave a mark knowing this is his last game as a senior here.
Look at those all-time rankings in his career. Remarkable 4 years for this guy. And veteran teams, Xavier, that go the distance. Many believe that as you see that nice runner off the window by Malik White. Cantor reading no double team. He just schooled the freshman there.
Well, and that's what you talk about with Nate Watson right there inside. He gave too much of the baseline, kind of went for 2 dribbles, and smartly Cantor, using his savvy down low, knew the baseline was open. What a welcome addition for him scoring inside.
Another turnover. Here comes Gooden the other way, giving it up. Cantor stripped as he went back up after the offensive rebound.
You know, when Cantor first came in, they knew he could shoot the basketball. They knew he could stretch the defense. But the question was, could he be a benefit? Can he help you on the post? Well, he's proven that you can trust him to dump it down inside, and he can make some plays. And it's benefited not only him, but more importantly, his team as another post threat inside.
This time working on Bullock, goes to the left hand. Wow. Talk about versatility. He moved way up in the opposition scouting report as the season wore on.
Well, he can beat you. You saw the left hand right there. A nice touch if he wants to go off glass and the face up.
Bullock. Not falling early for Providence, and to your point a moment ago, 8 field goal attempts and 6 turnovers for the Friars.
And this is, you know, you don't want to let this game get away. This Xavier team is very explosive at home. They can beat you in so many different ways. Got to clamp down on the defensive end, get some stops, and figure out a way to put the ball in the basket.
Cantor has their last 6. Here's Gooden. That's just too easy. And another quick timeout taken. Ed Cooley knows it. Just what you said he's aware of.
Cantor inside, get him in the post. Karam taking a little bit maybe from his brother. Left hand jump hook. I can do more than just shoot the 3 ball.
Biggest resume quest, a 5th straight NCAA berth. 2 weeks ago it happened. Cartwright with 17, 5 assists, 3 steals. Bullock had 14, including some thunderous slams. And as usual, when Villanova loses, the students rush the floor at the Final Horn. As you look at the resume, first off, when you look at those tough losses, Minnesota, when they played, was in the Gavitt games, and they were at full strength. They were a quality team, highly ranked at that point. The committee takes that into consideration. Those big wins for them against Villanova and Xavier were, though, at home. To get a big win like this, a quadrant 1 win on the road within your league, it's a tremendous opportunity that they have in front of them tonight.
Well, it's not starting out that way, but it gives you confidence that you can not only play on the road, but maybe a neutral site when it comes to NCAA tournament time. But when you're playing against a team like Xavier on the road, the attention to detail, the little things count so much, because you're not getting positive possessions. The Xavier team is too good, too savvy, and they're just going to beat you up.
Drew Edwards has checked into the game. We got a tie ball with the arrow going the other way, so Xavier will have it. They're looking for some opportunities to get shots up, and the problem for them is turnovers. 11 points off of those turnovers. That's the difference in this game right now, as they've committed 6. A moment ago, as we mentioned, they had as many turnovers as they had field goals attempted.
Well, and coaches can deal with some turnovers if they're aggressive, but a lot of live ball turnovers, which means Xavier is able to get out in transition and score. You're not able to set your defense in transition, and now you're giving up layups on the opposite end.
Meanwhile, Xavier's hit 5 of their last 6, and Cantor has provided a difference inside since coming in. Marshall missed on what could have been a really good pick and roll opportunity, and that one is knocked away by Khalif Young.
Yeah, good activity that time by Young, but the pass from Gates was a little soft. It allowed Young to get over the top. Now you got to reset your offense in the corner with 9 seconds left for Xavier.
Only 5 to shoot. Kaiser Gates, boy, what a gear he's shifted into.
Well, and maybe for Kaiser, the shot clock needs to go down more often, because that forced him, really, Tim, to put the ball on the deck and attack and not take a jump shot. And I think he can really expand his game if he adds that more often, which in turn will open up his jump shot, another turnover.
Yeah, here comes McCura the other way. Gives it up to Scruggs. Not the spacing they wanted, but Cantor still comes away with it. And the tap out belongs to Xavier. Another recycle opportunity. Gates. Here comes Edwards the other way. McCura disruptive again, but will pick up a foul. That's an, oh, by the way, giveaway for JP. That's his second.
Yeah, well, Kaiser gave 8 points in the last game, but has been struggling a little bit with his offense because he relies so much on the jump shot. But he's long, he's athletic. He's shown that he can beat you off the dribble. Sometimes he settles too much, Tim, I believe, for jump shots. But when he can attack like that, think about it as a player. If you can do things, multiple things well, that's going to open up and give you space for your jump shot.
And a lot of times early in the season, he was the guy that would come in for Blewett, and he could hit jump shots from deep just as Trayvon could. But you're right, he hit the skids really the early part of February and is trying to come out of it before we get into the postseason.
Well, he's an excellent free throw shooter at 83%. So why not pick up fouls as well in order to get your rhythm going?
Yeah,
you know,
lather up a little bit.
Hey, but that's part of drawing the contact and not just, you know, settling for being a perimeter player.
Diallo back into the game with the 2 fouls. He got tied up. The arrow is to Providence this time. Nice work inside by Gooden to tie that one up. That is not a happy camper right there, Ed Cooley. He had designs on this game, felt good about the matchups, but so far his team has not been protecting the ball. Diallo. Ooh, the iron kind with a little help from the window pane.
Yeah, but you talked about Coach Cody. He was really confident, you know, in shoot around today about his team was ready, but the coach can only do so much. You can put the game plan in place, but the players still got to perform.
Well, that ended an 8-0 run and a quick foul on the other end of the floor by Jalen Lindsey. One thing we know, he's ever optimistic, that's for sure.
Well, always.
He's one of the really good guys in the profession, too. He's smelling that 5th straight NCAA tournament appearance.
Yep, and it switched to a little zone right here, 1-3-1. Keep your eye on the rotations on the wing. You have to be able to close down those little passing lanes and gaps right here to the free throw line. Good steal here.
Cartwright on the other end. He is a tough matchup, and when he plays big, as he did the first time around, he can be the difference.
Well, at Providence, asked Coach Cooley about staying in the zone. He said, listen, we stayed in a little bit longer because it was successful, and you got a steal out of it right away.
Marshall a step-in 3 opportunity, pulled down by Bullock.
And 2 great possessions that time on defense by Providence by switching over to the zone to see if they could take advantage now on the offensive end and cut into this lead.
Bullock has not been able to shake free from Gooden. That's the guy they really need to help Cartwright out. Oh boy, yet another turnover committed, but a break as the ball is lost out of bounds by Xavier.
Well, always a tough pass when you throw it low, below, you got to throw it up, and right here, this is what he can do. He anticipates the pass is coming. It's a little soft on that pass, and Cartwright able to tip and get out. And now you get in transition. So if you want to break the monotony, if you're struggling in half court, get some easy baskets like that. Plus,
oh boy,
out of bounds underneath. There's no way the ball should be able to come right into Diallo to get an easy 2.
It's a 7-0 run now for PC. And that foul will go against Jalen Lindsey.
Well, come on, you got to be more active right here on the ball. You can't allow it to come right in. Quentin Gooden's hands were down by his hip. That's just an easy pass right inside to Diallo, just catch and finish. I know Chris Mack not too happy about that last defensive possession.
Lindsey, because he picks up his second, will have to sit with 9 minutes. Diallo also with 2. He's out there. Tyreek Jones, who had been injured for a period of time on a shoulder problem, back in the lineup. He's that 3rd wheel of that trio of post players that Xavier has.
And Bullock has his work cut out to box out Tyreek Jones when it goes up underneath.
Gooden on the switch, takes Bullock downtown. He recognized the switch right away and took advantage with his quickness.
Yeah, but you have to stay down when you switch out on the guard like that. The moment you stand up, the guard's eyes are going to light up, and that's what quick.
Lead back to 8. Tough pass to try to get through to Jackson from Young. That's in traffic. And yet another Friars turnover. That's their 8th. And we've got 8 and change remaining here in the opening half.
Well, a lot of times, see, with your post players, you're trusting them to make the right decision at the high post by passing the ball. We've seen 2 turnovers from Young already, trying to thread the needle. And again, goes back to decision making. If you don't have it, if it's too close quarters, just swing it. Continue to run your offense to get something else.
Makura has his pocket picked by Cartwright. Kyron all the way. Goes to the right hand and right around the cylinder and in, and he's got 6, and 4 of them coming off one-man fast breaks for himself. You can bet Makura remembers that turnover he committed. Gooden. A Gooden from downtown.
And miscommunication on that 2-3 zone. The top 2 guys have to work in concert with the wing player. The wing player has to be able to communicate on that side of the court as soon as the ball is swung to the top to release. And that time just left it wide open. Quentin Gooden to knock down that 3.
Makura into a moving pick. And yet another foul committed. This one by Bullock, his 2nd. Foul difficulty could be a problem. How about that pilfer, huh?
Tyron Cartwright doing what he does best. He's a thief in transition, able to finish. But Quentin Gooden, really? You leave me this open? I know it's senior night, but I'm going to make mine. Impressive fella.
It's Big East College Hoops on FS1, and it's sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. 26-17 our score. The Musketeers with the lead. Right now, let's take you inside the huddle of Chris Mack of Xavier.
We've been choppy because of our turnovers against the zone. It's like what we talked about. Here on our home floor, got to be ball strong. Hey, just know that if they're in zone break, we know our looks. We want to get the ball right there. And it may not happen right away. We might have to give it time. It's got to be ball strong.
Well, ball strong against the zone. You know that this Providence team is scrappy. You have to anticipate that it may be some contact, and Chris Mack understands that the zone defense gave him a little bit of issue up in Providence, but what you didn't see when he marked, he said get the ball right there. He's talking about the middle of that zone. Once you get it in the middle, now you're able to have options. The shot, down low for the post, the swing, so many options once you be patient enough and strong enough with the ball to get it in the middle of the zone.
Look at that. Pete Gillen, Skip Prosser could go all the way back to the days of Bob Stack. What a launching point this job was. And I think what Chris Mack has done in many respects has turned this from a stepping stone job into a destination location.
Yep, and how about Ed Cooley coming out of the timeout, going back to man-to-man, knowing that a play was going to be run. Try to get something against that 2-3 zone.
Here's Blewett working over Isaiah Jackson. Well defended by Jackson. But it's run down off the glass. Gates did not, he thought it hit the rim. I think Chris Mack is saying it hit the rim.
It did.
But it did not reset.
Yeah, Trayvon Blewett's his shot was off to the left, but it did hit the left side of the rim. The shot clock should have been reset.
In real time, I certainly thought it did.
Oh, it did. He didn't shoot an air ball right there.
Right there, yeah, it did catch it. We had one of these situations the other day in the Creighton-Villanova game, if you recall.
That's right. And it hit the rim, and they didn't reset the shot clock.
Right.
And they couldn't go back and
at a certain point, it was not reviewable. Therefore, the ball did go the other way.
Well, what happened is the officials stopped it and called it.
They knew it right away.
They knew it right away. And
as long as you know it,
right,
then you can repair it. It's a correctable error at that point.
In the Creighton game, the officials were unaware.
They never saw
it, so they never saw it, so they could not go and review it.
Happened at a critical point in the game, too.
Well, yeah, for Villanova, especially because they could have retained possession that time.
They were forced to launch a quick 3 from really, really deep. And ultimately, Creighton came away with yet another possession.
Yes.
So here we go. Kaiser Gates looking for Blewett. Trying to go high-low into O'Mara. And I think we got a foul.
Well, that time O'Mara couldn't release because Watson had control of him by the hip a little bit.
Yep.
And O'Mara was off balance. So if you just keep your eye, let's see if we can see it underneath right there. He has his right arm hooked. So now O'Mara could not release to go and track down the pass from Blewett.
Ed Cooley not at all pleased. Little choreography over there for John Gaffney to see. He's never boring, is he? He's never boring. By the way, Bullock is PC's leading scorer so far. No points, 3 turnovers. They got to find a way to get number 5 in the black jersey involved offensively.
And how about Sean O'Meara? We're talking about huge shooting improvements this season. 65% from the field, but more importantly, up to 81% from the free throw line. That's player development. That's a guy putting in the work and is paying huge dividends for this Xavier team.
Here's Watson baseline working in on O'Meara. That is 2 points and waiting, no doubt about it. He's got all the moves down there.
How about the feel? He knew he couldn't get to the middle, spun right off of O'Meara, and a nice little soft left hand jump hook right there on the baseline.
Good passing out of the post for the Xavier team. Gooden with the floater, gets it to go. Makai Ashton Langford has come in, which enables Cartwright to play somewhat off the ball at times. Alpha Diallo will come in on the next dead ball as he's at the scorer's table. The lead is 11 with 5:45 remaining. Bullock with the dump down to Watson. He has it stripped. Another turnover. That's 10 committed by Providence. Blew it off the pick. Beautiful pass. And that time Najee Marshall just ran too far. Ran past the goal. Inside Jackson. And a follow by Watson.
The quick pass up allowed Providence to get more numbers underneath. Xavier not able to get back in transition. And anytime you can advance the ball, Tim, up the court, it's going to beat the defense down. And now you have an opportunity for a second shot.
Gates. O'Meara tries to keep it alive and does. Stays with it. Foul should be on the floor. Tony Chiazza has it. And it'll be 1-1 the rest of the way in this half.
Hey, listen, KYG, know your game. Young players, understand where you're at. Quentin Gooden sitting right here in the corner. He's a 35% three-point shooter, but he didn't feel comfortable, put the ball on the deck, and able to use a nice touch and runner to get the ball inside. So his recognition on one, feet wasn't set, but he saw the defender coming at him, gave him a little hesitation, pump fake, bam, right into a sweet spot.
O'Meara was fouled by Rodney Bullock, which means he's done for the first half. Jim, he's committed now his 3rd foul. You've got to figure Cooley's got to keep him on the bench the rest of the half. And we almost have 5 minutes remaining as he sits down.
Well, somebody else. So Providence has to step up. Again, it seems like Providence is down more than 9 points and now down 7 because of the erratic play early, but you're right in striking distance. You know, even with one of your best players not having an impact offensively on the game.
Ashton Langford got that hoop on the dribble drive. O'Meara over Watson. Boy, gosh, that looked like a lot of leather. It really did. Cooley can't believe it. Foul goes against Watson. That's his 2nd.
But watch at the end of the play right there. So his left hand caught O'Meara's right hand, and it came down at the last minute. If he keeps his arm straight up,
good point,
and O'Meara comes into him, now it's not a foul. But again, he's still young. He's still learning. In high school, he could get away with that and block the shot. He's often running at the other end.
It's one thing to deal with that triple monster in the post for Xavier, but it's quite another when your front line is at 2 fouls or above with 4.5 remaining in the opening half. And you can really sense not just the 1-and-1, Jim, but the double bonus coming into play way too soon for Providence on the road.
Well, youth plays into that as well.
Yep.
In regards to decision making and how you play defense before the ball even gets to your opponent.
Jackson for 3. Caught only the backboard. That was way too strong, and Gooden comes out of there with it. Stop and go, and that time Watson did get all leather.
And that time he was straight up and down, and he forced Gooden to have to come to him. So excellent play that time by a young freshman.
Kid's got a great future, no doubt about it.
No doubt.
From Arlington, Virginia, Bishop O'Connell High. Timeout. Musketeers lead.
Big East tournament. When you're getting off the train and you go up the stairs, you kind of got this emotional feeling like we're here. We've arrived in New York. You go up the elevator, you see it's dirty in the elevator. Then you go into the game. Those images will never go away because there's no greater place to play a national tournament than Madison Square Garden.
Oh, he does know the drill. Yes, he does. And if the tournament were to begin today, this would be the setup. Providence would be taking on Creighton in the quarterfinal matchups on Thursday night. I look at this, it all begins, of course, next week exclusively on FS1. The championship game on Saturday. You'll be there for it, Jim. But I think St. John's and Georgetown are two teams that right now could not only just win a game, but maybe win 2 games, get to the semifinals.
Well, especially St. John, and I know they've been struggling as of late, but they hit a stretch where they gain their confidence and playing at MSG and at their home turf.
It just makes it dangerous.
Makes it dangerous because they've proven that they can win against a higher caliber team. They have confidence, so would not be surprised
not at all
if they were able to sneak a couple in there. But
why they call it the second season.
You better believe it.
Everybody's 0-0. In traffic, blew it. And he'll get to the free throw line yet again. Fouls continuing to mount inside for Providence. This time it's Isaiah Jackson picking it up, his first.
Well, here's the thing. So the out-of-bounds play, you scout this. You know on particular plays when Trayvon Blewett is lined up at the free throw, they want to lob it to him right there and get him one-on-one. As a defensive team, you can't allow Trayvon Blewett to get in his position. You got to get him up above the three-point line. That takes that isolation away. That time, the attention to detail on that out-of-bounds play for Providence just wasn't there. Thus, you send Trayvon Blewett to the free throw line.
See the improvement by season for Trayvon. Incredibly consistent performer. Coming off really a poor performance, his season low. Just 2 points on 1 of 10 shooting, 4 rebounds, 4 assists in that game with Georgetown. He's really been erratic with his shot the last half dozen games. Be a good time for him to get on track before the postseason begins. Oh, a beautiful rejection, but a foul to go with it as Tyreek Jones made his move to slap that one away. Paul Scruggs actually reached in to pick up foul number 1.
Well, Paul Scruggs got up in the air that time. Tyreek Jones able to get the shot, but once Paul Scruggs kind of committed himself right there up.
Makai Ashton Langford at the free throw line, a freshman from Worcester, Massachusetts, by way of Brewster Academy. This is a young man that had originally committed to UConn, decommitted and came over to Providence.
You talked about Trayvon Blewett not having a great night, but in his last game against Creighton, he had 2 points. Yeah. But the following game against Seton Hall, he came back and dropped 37. Yeah. Okay, here at home. So
it always helps to get home.
You better believe it.
And this time, Cartwright trying to check. Trayvon picks up the foul. First on Chiron.
And this is one where you get your rhythm going, get yourself to the free throw line. I mean, that, to me, as a player, you kind of feel off with your rhythm a little bit. Get some easy baskets, see it go through the rim. You're 84% from the free throw line. Use that body, especially on the mismatch, to draw some contact. Get yourself flowing that way.
One of the aspects I think Xavier coming in, Jim, was concerned with tonight, and talking with, among others, Travis Steele, assistant coach for Chris Mack. Perimeter defense. You know, they have been giving up a lot of high percentage looks from beyond the arc, and it looks like, for at least the most part, they've been able to shore that up tonight. Here's Jackson from downtown, and right on cue, he got an open look. But part of the effort defensively has been aided by the turnovers committed by Providence so far.
Well, you're talking about the defensive struggles for Xavier. 4 out of their last 6 games, they've given up, you know, at least 90 points.
That's a lot.
And that's a lot. And this is a great scoring league, don't get me wrong, but this Xavier team has shown to be a better defensive team than that.
Yeah, in recent NCAA tournament play, that was their strength. No doubt about it. Here's Jones off the delivery, and it was a dandy by Gooden.
Well, I think Tyreek Jones kind of stole the pass. I think that pass was going to Najee Marshall. But the tight end hands that time by Tyreek, the glove was able to grab it and quickly finish.
I think Najee just gave him the nod. Tyreek, you can have those two.
No, he told us, he said, look, bro, stop taking my passes, man. That's like a little guard going in and taking the rebound from the post player.
Malik White got that 3 to go, so it's an 8-point game. You've watched this game develop, and really Xavier's dominance does not show up on the scoreboard, does it?
No, it doesn't. Again, Providence, the last 2 minutes, how do you want to end this half? Get yourself back in the game, get some confidence going into the locker room. Another steal right here, an opportunity for Providence in transition.
Hands of Velcro from Cartwright, and then on the other end, counted and one. That foul goes against Najee Marshall. Well, the bench points are mounting for Providence. 21 of their points right now coming from the Pine.
Well, listen, sometimes you don't have to be the playmaker every time. Tyron Cartwright smartly advanced the ball up again to Ashton Langford. Now that allowed him to tack off the dribble. And that's just a heady play by your senior point guard to give it up and allow somebody else to make a play against a retreating Xavier defense.
Makura back into the game, replacing Scruggs. All in all, based on what we've seen to this point, Jim, if I'm Ed Cooley, I'm thrilled to be down by only this margin with 1:54 remaining in the half.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, you're not happy with the way it started, but the resiliency of this Providence team has allowed them to settle in a little bit more. Despite the double-digit turnovers, they've been able to create some offense off of their defense.
Blew it. Not there, but speared out of the air by Xavier. The ball on the deck. Got a whistle. We'll try to deliver who's got it out of that scrum. Well, coming up, Opstone, Casey Jacobson, Jay Wright will be live with him in Newark. Villanova setting up to match up with Seton Hall in game 2 of our doubleheader. All of that coming up on the Jeep Grand Cherokee halftime report.
And, you know, I'm thoroughly impressed right now with Isaiah Jackson. Right now, he's taking the challenge to make it difficult on Trayvon Blewett. Again, Trayvon Blewett is going to get a multitude of shots. It's tough to stop him, but he's making it extremely difficult for Blewett to get comfortable in this first half.
How about this fast break opportunity? That's an offensive foul. Tony Chiazza whistles it against Malik White. His first.
Yeah, and that time Malik White has to look through the defense. That time Quentin Gooden was already ready to set up for that charge. That's when you take that hard dribble and pull up for a nice little jump shot off the block.
Pretty clear what Ed Cooley, though, wants, Jim, and that is a rush up the floor. Make sure, Xavier, you take advantage of transition from offense to defense.
Oh, yeah. It gives you opportunity to get a shot, but also gives you an opportunity to get an offensive rebound and continue the possession.
And less time for you to commit a turnover.
You got that right.
Which was the problem in the opening 10 minutes. Blew it. Nice slip by Jones. And a great find by Trayvon.
How about the catch? The awareness that he was in a scrum of defensive players. He maintained his pivot and able to swing through and finish with authority.
Points off turnovers up to 15-7 now. And really the difference in the game. Ashton Langford looks for Cartwright off the kernel, and he gets it to go.
What a response that time.
How about that?
But the patience on offense, allowing the offense to work for you. Now Tyron Cartwright came off the screen wide open. All he had to do was catch square and let it go.
Makura quickly doubled, and he gives it up to Gooden. Looks like we got a whistle. We'll go the other way. We got a moving pick. Makura gets his 3rd foul.
Watch this pick and roll right here, action, and then rolls to the basket. But watch all the action in there and able to maintain his concentration. In the middle pick and roll is always tough to guard because you don't know when you're going to come for help, especially when you have shooters spread out on the wing. So excellent execution, but delivery and finish by Xavier.
Chris Mack is really hot over that foul call off the ball against Makura, his 3rd, and that's an equalizer for the loss of Bullock, who left with 5 minutes remaining when he picked up his 3rd foul.
How big would a basket be right here for Providence to cut this lead down to 3?
Leaner, and it does go at the buzzer for Ashton Langford.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm absolutely amazed that it's a 3-point game.
Well, amazed, but give Cooley and his guys credit. They didn't hang their heads when they were turning the basketball over. They manned up on the defensive end. They made shots when it counted, and then they were able to put Xavier back on their heels. So 18 of their last 20 points were scored by the bench. So that's getting production from guys getting ready to play.
Ashton Langford really was a difference maker when he moved to the point and Cartwright went off the ball. That's our story at the half. 40-37 our score. Will send you to Rob Stone and Casey Jacobson in Newark, and they'll have, among others, Jay Wright with them, the head coach of the Villanova Wildcats. That's all coming up on the Jeep Grand Cherokee halftime report on the other side of this right here. As you take a look at our Jeep Grand Cherokee stats comparison with so much on the line, Jim Jackson, the bench points were the catalyst for Providence in hanging in even after all those turnovers.
Well, here it is, 65% field goal percentage, but a lot of that, like you said, came from the bench. And that's about getting production. You got to get it from somewhere. An excellent job of not allowing the moment itself to be bigger than what it was.
It looked to me as though Providence was tight early, but Xavier, with history, literally history, staring them in the face, they played tight late, and the Macura third foul certainly didn't help.
Well, you figured that the home team with senior night would be a little tighter because of the emotions. They came out ready to go. It was Providence that was back on their heels, but they figured out a way defensively to lock in. Did an excellent job from defending the three-point line, and then when they got steals, able to get out in transition and convert.
How about the play of Ashton Langford? He was a DNP in their last game. He comes in, gives them 8 points, and allowed Cartwright to get off the ball, where I thought he really got his game going, particularly on the defensive end.
Well, that's called being ready to play, and that's what Langford was able to do in the first half. Valuable minutes. Let's see if he can provide another spark for this Providence team, because you know Xavier's going to make a run in the second half.
Bullock finally gets into the scoring column. Those are his first points. Macura and Bullock for their respective teams scoreless in the first half. Just like that, it's a one-point game.
But I like the play call by allowing Bullock to get himself down on the block. Another excellent pass in time to O'Mara. That time Khalif Young got on the high side. That allowed the pass to get inside. So two great calls coming out of timeout. One by Ed Cooley to get Bullock on the block, but also to get for Chris O'Mara an easy basket inside.
Najee Marshall provided the dish. Same starting fives to open the second half for both squads. Diallo, by the way, playing in foul difficulty as well, and he turns it over. Here comes Najee Marshall to Macura. Two big plays in a row right off the top here in the second half.
And what a heads-up play. That time Najee Marshall, because he didn't feel that he was going to get stopped with the ball, he maintained his dribble. And at the last minute, as soon as the defender committed, dropped it off nicely to J.P. Macura.
Cartwright has his pocket pick right away. Turnovers to open the half. Gooden finds Blewett. Hello, how do you do? Too strong. A 7-0 run for the Musketeers after an opening deuce for Providence. Cut it to one. Yes! And one!
All kind of reminiscent of how the game started. It was turnovers by Providence. It was Xavier being able to score inside, but then able to just straight line drive and get inside, and Quentin Gooden using that athleticism, that strength, and how about the soft touch off the glass for a chance for An old-fashioned three-point play.
Well, Cartwright mad at himself because he fouled him, but not hard enough to keep him from making the shot. Gooden leaves and Scruggs checks in. Well, this building really rocks. One of the top on-campus facilities in the country. The Cintas Center in Cincinnati. Beautiful play as Young finds Cartwright. Little give-go action, and it's 50-41.
Now that's the delivery right there from Nate, from Young, Khalif Young, right there over the top. A nice little pass.
Marshall. Good work defensively that time by Providence. Cartwright leaves it for Bullock for three. On the tap out, J.P. McCura's got it. Look out, he's driven, Smiling from ear to ear, feeling it on his senior night. Standing ovation from the crowd. Bullock has not made a perimeter jumper. He got one to open this half off a beautiful pass, and Diallo gets that one over Najee Marshall.
Excellent offense that time, but how about the move by McCure on the last play? No one stops him. Able to hesitate. Quick dribble, layup inside.
By the way, if you were wondering why Ed Cooley chose not to use some timeouts during that 10-0 run, he used a lot early. Scruggs with a wraparound to O'Mara. That bucket was Reynolds wrapped by Scruggs.
For a high pick and roll, flat, isolation right here by Ed Cooley.
Scruggs was bumped. John Gaffney with the call. Providence was down to those 2 timeouts, so they didn't want to use one early before we got to the under 16, which is where we are now.
But Scruggs inside, rewarding the senior for his hard work. Xavier still in control. Right here in the second half by Xavier, kind of reminiscent, like I said, of the first half. The turnovers allow Xavier to get out in transition. Excellent pass from Marshall to McCura inside again. The turnover, Quentin Gooden. Okay, don't stop me. Let me make a play. Let me find my senior road dog, Trayvon Blewett, for the 3-ball in the quarter pocket. Gooden showing the strength, athleticism, and touch to finish. And how about you reward the big fella inside for putting in work on merit for the easy slam. Think about it, Tim. 3-point game at halftime. Now it's ballooned up to 11 in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and again, what's at stake? Xavier with an opportunity in history. Could be their first ever share of a Big East Conference championship. They could win it outright if they win here and on Saturday against DePaul, in a game you'll be able to see on Fox, part of our Big Game Saturday triple hitter. For the Friars, it would be their best win of the year. They're projected as 11th seed by the Schwab, Howie Schwab, our resident bracketeer. But as we start this half, think about it. It was a 9-2 run to open the game for Xavier, a 14-6 run to open this half. They're 6 out of 7 from the floor, the Musketeers, and 4 different guys have gotten into the scoring column.
And if you're Providence, it takes so much energy to get back in off of those runs. You want to limit that to the defense, and the foul right there by Cartwright. Those runs you have to cut down. Instead of 14-2, 14-8. Okay, you're still within shouting distance, but you expend so much energy trying to get it back to even, that a lot of times you end up coming up just a little bit short when the clock hits zeros at the end.
And Scruggs just forced the 3rd foul on Kyron Cartwright, and he waves off his head coach, saying, I'll play smartly the rest of the way, coach. I know I've got 3.
Well, that's just trust right there with your senior that he won't commit an unnecessary foul to find himself sitting right next to Ed Cooley.
Bullock comes over to give help with Cantor on that mismatch, understanding that he's playing with 3. Got to let him go here.
Nope.
Uh-oh, did he pick up a 4th? Oh, my. Oh, boy. He played 2. You got to know better than that. I mean, that's a 4th foul. As a leader of your team, you know you've got 3. You simply can't pick up that foul.
Well, I gave him a lot of credit that he would play smart. But that time when he closed out on Scruggs, he dropped his left foot, Tim. That gave him the lane to get inside. And just keep your eye. You know, Cartwright is solid, but as he gets inside, right, watch the chest right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the foul, if Cartwright let him go, you got a defender on the backside, allow him to make the play instead of yourself.
Ashton Langford checks in for him. He had a remarkable first half, but much of that performance was based on Cartwright playing off the ball, which enabled him to score his 8 points. And here he loses his dribble right away, and it looks as though Gooden will pick up the foul, or excuse me, Scruggs will pick up the foul on the overplay. 2 fouls on Cartwright in 18 seconds of this second half makes him a cheerleader for the bulk of the rest of the 15-12 we've got remaining.
Well, you just hope that Ashton Langford, the way he finished the first half, he still has that concentration and that leadership ability right now, because it's a critical juncture at the beginning of the second half that Providence weave itself back into cutting into this lead of Xavier.
Well, the Providence Friars bench did a remarkable job to get him back in the game in the first half. It'll have to be really stupendous here in the second, and that's a bailout foul on a fall-away jumper for Bullock, and it goes against Blewett, and that's the second on Trayvon. Physical, grinding game, Jim. A lot of times during the dog days of February, these teams in the Big East know each other so well, and the scouting report is so clear. They're going to try to take away your strengths, and it becomes a bump and grind show, and that's what we've had for the most part.
Well, we emphasize this, that there's still something to play for. Things are still on the line.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to complete the puzzle. For Xavier, the grind to be able to get your first outright conference championship is not going to be easy. For Providence, they understand that they want to take the committee's hands, take it out of the committee's hands in regards to what they do post the Big East tournament. And you do that by winning on the road here against Xavier.
Tough pass from Blewett. Work by Watson on that show, and Blewett, I think, just airmailed it after big number 0 came flying in his face on that show.
I think Blewett on that time thought it was in his canner. Inside. That was
Instead of Karen.
Yeah, it's about 7 foot. I thought it was his brother right there.
Diallo with a dribble handoff to Ashton Langford. Again, this kid in his did not play in the last game for Cooley. Navigating beautifully here tonight, though. Right at Blewett. Right at him. Tough shot, though. Nice adjustment. Ukura comes away with it. Cantor working on Diallo. Got some help late, but it was too late from Bullock.
Yeah, how about Cantor able to regain his balance when Diallo kind of pulled the chair from him, but excellent recovery.
Diallo on a dribble foul right against Gates. That was a strong move by number 11.
Well, how about the ability to spin and maintain his balance and explosiveness in tight quarters in between the defense to finish?
Here's Cantor working on Watson.
Why not?
Oh, tough shot.
Why not go back to him? He's been successful down there on the block, even against a bigger opponent.
Ashton Langford is fouled. Xavier 8 of 9 from the floor this half. Well, almost perfection in a game that's been up and down the floor. Quentin Gooden got that foul, and Diallo will trigger it in. Or will they give it away to Jackson? It will be Isaiah that triggers it in for Providence.
Well, think about Xavier, where they're getting their points. A lot of it is in the paint, attacking the basket, so you can be very efficient when you get your focus on that. And what that does is going to condense the defense for Providence and maybe open up some opportunities behind the three-point line for the Musketeer.
Ashton Langford running the show. Giving it up to Watson. You know it's going up when he gets it.
Excellent defense.
Yeah, by Cantor.
Yes.
Blewett on a run out. Excellent defensive transition there from Providence. Cantor backing in. Rejected by Watson this time. Jackson goes for it, but it's saved by Gates. And Bullock's going to get a reach-in foul. And that is 4 on Rodney Bullock. So he joins Kyron Cartwright with 4 for Providence. And attrition becoming an issue very quickly for Ed Cooley.
It goes back to your point about picking up a cheap foul too early and how that comes back into play.
Well, for Makura, by example, you could say that was a questionable moving pick at the end of the half.
Right.
But he had picked up the double technical, which counts as a personal. You have those kinds of fouls.
That's right.
You set yourself up sometimes. Boy, I think if you were to say to any program to lose Cartwright and have Bullock also with 4 fouls, you have a comeback with those guys not available to you, that could be incredible for Providence. They need some shutdown defense here and maybe some help like that kind of turnover, an unforced error by Gooden to help them out.
Pretty play when it works. The pass off the bounce and off the dribble, but when it doesn't, you draw the ear of Coach back on the sideline, especially in film session.
Oh, yeah.
When he highlights that, like, just be solid and make the pass.
White also played well in his time spent on the floor in the first 20 minutes. Ashton Langford, as we said, was a difference maker. White not there. Long rebound, though, retained by Providence, and Jackson has it rejected, but there's a foul. Kaiser Gates was defending Jackson as he went with that reversal, and he picked up the foul. We go to break, and Karam Cantor showing you his versatility here.
Well, he's showing us he's agile, he's mobile, soft touch inside. The senior adding depth to this front court. Xavier Musketeer.
It's Golden Corral's prime rib and shrimp.
12. And a reminder, Sunday on Fox, the Monster Energy Cup Series heads west to Vegas as Martin Truex Jr. looks to defend last year's win. All the action starts at 3 Eastern on Fox, or you can stream it live on Fox Sports Go. As for the landscape of college basketball on the bubble, Baylor went a long way in helping themselves with their most recent win against Oklahoma in Waco. Syracuse getting a tough road test from Boston College tonight. And where does the Big East stand? I would contend Nebraska probably needs 1 win in the tournament, which begins tonight, by the way, at MSG. Penn State might need 2 wins. What say you, Jim?
Well, that's one of the lists you don't want to be on, kind of the bubble list. You want to give yourself an opportunity. But that's the beauty about having a conference tournament, is that you're able to right some wrong, so to speak, of what happened during the season, to maybe be able to knock off after you get past that first game, a team that has some substance that can give you that boost to change maybe the opinions of the selection committee.
I thought that win for Nebraska against Penn State over the weekend put them in a position where just 1 tournament win at the Garden this week might put them in. Penn State probably needs to play a top 100 team, and you don't get that until you get to the second round of the Big Ten tournament.
Providence back in that zone, which gave them a little life in the first half, which slowed down the Xavier offense. Also, they were able to create some turnovers by being active in that 2-3 zone.
Makura for 3. Rebound to Isaiah Jackson. Transfer acquitted himself nicely tonight with much needed minutes. Number 44 in black. Watson has shown some signs. This kid, Ashton Langford, has been a difference maker. Here's Diallo off the bounce, rattling it home.
Yeah, actually, it was good defense that time by Mercury. Cut off Diallo with the drive, but a gifted offensive player was able to hit that little step back 15-foot jump shot. Great recognition on his part.
Alpha Diallo's up to 11 points. Above his head. Here's Gates with a baseline blast. 61-51.
Collapsing the zone. Cantor able to sneak in, and how about
magnificent work by those two in concert, Cantor and Gates.
Yeah, Gates able to hide on the baseline, give himself some room to gather and finish.
Cantor with that late show. Watson was left free for a moment. Ashton Langford taking it right into Makura. It's out of bounds. And it'll go over to Xavier. Another turnover.
Again, all this is going to be open. So now the pass comes in, and Gates finds himself clearing enough space. So now, as the ball comes in, that time, Isaiah Jackson just left thinking the pass was going across court. So that was an easy play inside.
It looks like we had an overrule. The crowd reacting. The ball apparently deflected off the Musketeers. So 2 on the shot clock. Providence controls possession here. It's got to go up quickly for Diallo. Oh,
too easy.
That's an alpha deuce off the window and a big-time find. 61-53 with 10 and change left.
But again, Tim, that's the second time Gooden's been on the ball. And he has to be a little bit more active to make that pass go out a little bit further. Another turnover here by Xavier. That's 2 plays underneath giving up plays to Providence.
Here's how they got the ball back. Yeah, it was a good call. It deflected off of McCure. You can see the ball redirected.
But right here, look, not really active on the ball. That's an easy lob right over the top. Diallo now offhand, able to kiss it in.
By the way, Diallo has their last 3 field goals.
Well, go back to him. You know, Ed Cooley is known to find and exploit opportunities, kind of like a pro coach, that if a guy is rolling,
riding,
he's going to give him opportunities. Here you go in the corner. Good help by Gooden.
Gives it up to Ashton Langford.
And see, that's just smart by Gooden, knowing that Ashton Langford would be reluctant to really shoot that shot.
Gooden, beautiful move in transition. Kid has really improved his game. One of the question marks about this Xavier team at the beginning of the year was how would their point guard play develop, both with Gooden as well as Scruggs, and both have really gotten better.
Well, you see a turnover here.
Yep.
What's gotten better with Gooden is in between his ears. No, seriously.
Yep.
He's always had the physical talent. But now, as being a little bit older and going through the grind, he picks and chooses his spots. He understands where the openings are at. He's more confident in his jump shot, and he's become a much better leader, a floor general on the court.
Well, obviously, it's a critical time in the mind of Ed Cooley because Kyron Cartwright is back on the deck, rolling the dice with 9 and change left. Probably about 2 to 3 minutes at least sooner than one would have anticipated. White riding Gooden in a very aggressive manner. Scruggs working a 2-man game with Tyreek Jones. A big fellow working in on Isaiah Jackson. Not there. Watson clears it for Providence. Good defensive sequence there for the Friars. We're going to need a lot more of that now, and Cartwright has got to play intelligently. Pop out from Malik White. Jackson the long rebound. Good anticipation. Diallo pinched by Najee Marshall. Jackson wants to clear out against Blewett. Tough take. White with a jump stop in traffic, and Blewett fouled him. Well, you get the ball down to 3 seconds on the clock. That's a bit of a bailout foul by Blewett on that dribble drive, and that's the 3rd on Trayvon.
Well, it's tough because that time you want to go to isolation, but Providence is not a great 3-point shooting team, so it was a lot of bodies within the paint, and Trayvon Blewett just a half a second late from getting in position. That caused the body foul, sending White to the free throw line.
Well, the sophomore from Richmond, Virginia, gets that one to go. Lindsey checks into the game, so some defensive for offensive substitutions being done early by Cooley with 8:03 remaining. So Kyron takes a seat, not having to worry about the defensive end. And also Drew Edwards, who can get hot from deep. He's got a good stroke from beyond the arc. He comes back into the game for Watson.
And full court pressure right here by Ed Cooley.
Yet again, an unforced error. This time Blewett throws it away.
But even where, if, let's say, Quentin Gooden catches the ball, now he's up against the baseline. It's an easy trap. So Trayvon Blewett has to see through that and maybe let Gooden go by and find someone else open in the court, so now they can attack the pressure.
And very quickly, Cartwright back in and Watson back in. Offensive for defensive after the turnover by Blewett. Diallo will trigger it in. Cartwright on the wing. Too strong. McCura has it ripped away by Isaiah Jackson. And everything but the finish. Ball halfway down the cylinder and out. Tough break for number 44.
Did everything right on that play. That just, as you would say, the iron unkind.
Oh, it was.
That's
wasn't
right.
it?
Too deep.
Jones over Watson. And a follow from McCura. JP makes it a 10-point game with 7 and change left.
Now, that's just being active. JP smart, not assuming the ball was going in, fouled up that loose ball.
And McCura picks up a reach-in foul. And that comes at a time when you absolutely could not take that chance. His fourth. Chris Mack is in disbelief. Can they hold on for their first piece of a Big East title? They haven't won an outright league title since they were in the A-10. East College Hoops on FS1 is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Well, partner, on Saturday we had a captive audience here in Cincinnati. Tonight we got a captive audience in Philadelphia, because after us, our Big East Wednesday night jam continues on FS1. Number 4 Villanova takes on Seton Hall. All the action coming up on FS1. Gus Johnson, Bill Raftery on hand, and you can stream it live on Fox Sports Go. Classic matchup of bigs against perimeter, and you look at what's at stake. Villanova's got to continue to win to keep pace with Xavier and hope that the Musketeers stumble either here tonight or on Saturday at DePaul.
Well, here's the thing about it. The Seton Hall team, you got to figure out which one is going to bring it.
Yeah.
But the one that plays well at home is tough. So for Villanova to go on the road, and, you know, Seton Hall, they have pride. They got something to prove. Going to give it their best effort. So, again, just like Xavier trying to close it out and ensure that they have a piece of it and maybe an outright one. Same thing for Villanova. But both teams had goals to win the conference title outright now. A couple games left to kind of see where it falls.
That game is at the Rock, and it makes a difference, no question. But the fan base in Philadelphia tuned in for this, I guarantee you. O'Mara missed a chippy. Here's Malik White, a blow-by. Can't get it to go. Jackson in traffic with a follow. Providence will not give up. It's not in their DNA. Ed Cooley gets his team to max out, even with all the foul difficulty with his starters. Bullock and Cartwright each with 4. McCura is sitting with 4, and that's a reach-in foul on the other end, and Gooden just ran out of his shoe.
Well, he ran first when he called the ball. He got away with a travel right by Ed Cooley, who was emphatic about calling it, but it was a reach in on the back end.
Jalen
caught
Lindsey,
a break.
Yeah, Lindsey got the foul, his third. And the 2 Friars with 4 fouls each are going to come back in. Well, now Ed's decided to pull them back out. He doesn't want them on the defensive end. He would rather have them on the offensive end. This is the 5th team foul, so not in the bonuses yet. Xavier will trigger it in. Bullock has sat almost 6 minutes of playing time and about 12 to 15 minutes of real time.
Yeah, but he moved his way on the bench closer to the coaches so he can let them know, like, Coach, I'm ready.
Yeah, he's dying to get in.
But when he gets back in, he can't try to do it himself. Okay, where he's been successful is trying to get on the post a little bit, get some shots, and defensively he has to play really smart. He can't take chances because they're going to leave his lively body coming down the stretch of the game whenever he gets back in.
If Providence can scramble this thing up, and you know, Jim, the way they like to play, they can turn it into a grinder and scramble it up. It's to their favor. 30 bench points for the Friars that kept them within distance. Marshall runs that down, 6 to shoot. And he walked. And now Bullock and Cartwright. Did he flash to the scores table quickly?
Flash Gordon. That's how quickly he got from that seat.
Oh, boy. I don't know that I've ever
scores table.
Yeah, I don't ever think I've seen a player get to the scores table any more quickly than Bullock.
But listen, he's excited. Now you got to calm it down a little bit because you don't want to come in, especially and pick up a quick foul and find yourself done for the evening. So let's keep our eye on that.
Cartwright and Bullock, the two leaders of this Providence team, shut down by a lot of foul difficulty, back on the floor, each with 4.
Be careful going one-on-one here.
Yep.
There you go.
Right off the window. 65-59, suddenly a 2-possession game.
And I like that because Bullock didn't try to overpower the shorter Quentin Burton, who could have induced him into committing an offensive foul. So smart play that time by the senior.
These teams so well scouted.
1-2-3 zone defense again. Ball in the middle, opens it up.
That 3-ball falls for Najee Marshall.
Right in the middle again. O'Mara didn't have the initial look, but Najee Marshall able to knock it in.
The first 3 of the night for Najee comes at an opportune time.
Direct.
Experienced a senior night will tell you the emotions run high. Blewett, Makira, O'Mara. These are guys that were 4-year players all the way through. Together, 132, 3 NCAA berths, a Sweet 16, and came up with an Elite 8 to go along with it. There's no denying what this club has been able to provide in the history of Xavier basketball. And as a duo, Trayvon and JP, they needed only 10 combined tonight to become the highest scoring duo in school history. Well, they're now at 2,571, passing Romaine Sato and Lionel Chalmers, who played from 2000 to 2004. And for Trayvon, the second leading scorer in Xavier history. The other guy you won't be able to catch. I'm sorry. Barry Larkin out of reach with Byron Larkin with 2,696. Byron had one whale of a career. And this young man, you think about the way he had been playing coming into this stretch run, essential for him, Jim, to play at the highest available level as they move into the postseason.
Well, he's always a threat, Trayvon Blewett. And think about what he and JP were able to accomplish. He kind of knew of the exploits of Trayvon coming in out of high school, out of Indianapolis, and all the expectations that were heaped upon him, and he's lived up to it. But JP is a guy that surprised, I think, everybody. Like that backdoor cut.
Yeah, and Diallo with
Diallo
a
to White.
time. Yes,
able to get it in. But to finish my point, both have added so much to this program, and you know they want to end it the right way and play a lot more games before it's all said and done.
You can sense, though, the tension. Blewett does get that one to go. And it's so important for them to get past this hump. As great as they've been, they haven't won a title. This is a chance to win at least a share of the Big East title. Off the ball, we've got an offensive foul.
Guess who? Guess who?
Oh, Bullock with a pick, an illegal pick that will send him to the bench for good. His 5th. And Ed Cooley is just apoplectic. He cannot believe it. And Chiasa is over there. He needs to chill, otherwise Tony will light him up. He's letting Jeff Clark know about it. He whistled him. Right of your screen right there.
Well, again, Bullock has to be smart, understanding how the officials are calling the game. They've called some fouls for setting picks on the offensive end, so you have to be aware of that. If that's the case, do like you do in football. Brush screen, get out the way.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, JP picked one up that was a little questionable.
Exactly.
At the end of the first half. That's true.
No.
On a steal by White. How about that? 71-63. They just won't go away.
Right. Quentin Benton tried to be too cute on that occasion, trying to split 2 defenders. He got his pocket picked, and to boot, White gave a little poster on the dunk.
Blewett on a blow by. Nice work, Diallo, and a rejection from Lindsay. Out of bounds to Xavier. They are not giving up anything easy.
Go right here, trying to split the double team of some long defenders, and on the backhand trying to contest, but Malik White, a little anger right there on the dunk.
This one is not for the faint of heart in the remaining 4:10. Gates on the deck with Makura, Blewett, O'Mara, and Gooden. He was lost it there, but it was retrieved by Gooden.
Well, he tried to make a pass inside to Gooden. It was deflected, but smartly Gooden brings it back out, resets the offense.
O'Mara, so adept at passing out of the post, elects to take that one. And the rebound by Ashton Langford, quickly out to White. Jackson, strong move on the baseline, as though he were shot out of a cannon. And the quick timeout by Ed Cooley. How quickly did they get that ball up the floor?
Well, Tim, coaches work on this all the time. 3-on-2 fast break, get the ball up, make a decision. Easy layup inside by Xavier Jackson.
His fourth-ranked Villanova Wildcats look for their fifth straight win versus Seton Hall. That's coming up next. But now back out to Cincy, Tim and Jim.
All right, Rob, thank you. We look forward to that coming up immediately after our game, 71-65. Tim Brando, Jim Jackson. You look at our game reset sponsored by SoFi. Reset your finances. One thing that we don't show you there in our reset is that for both coaches, anyone that can handle the ball a little like Jalen Brunson might help you get this win tonight. I mean, they need to protect the ball.
Oh, just be smart and don't try to do it by yourself. Advance the ball up the court, force the defense to get back. But keep in mind the foul trouble we talked about for Providence. If you're Xavier, you want to put so much pressure on the defense, get yourself to the free throw line. Excellent free throw shooting team at 77.8%. Use that to your advantage to close out this game.
One of the pluses for Providence is even with the foul difficulty, their bench has been so productive tonight. It's managed to keep them in contact here against Xavier. Ashton Langford, one of the reasons, and he'll pick up that foul, riding Gooden as he was on a straight line towards the rim.
There it is. Attack, and a lot of times with pressure up front, the way you beat it is attack it. That time, once Gooden was able to get across half court, he spotted an opening in the defense. He knew Ashton Langford was on his right side, so he exploded to the basket and was able to pick up the foul and get himself to the free throw line.
81% on the year, Gooden. Whenever you've got five guys over 80%, you know you're in pretty good shape at the free throw line, and Xavier does. That will travel, my friend.
All day long, baby.
Both to the Garden and wherever you're sent the following week in the NCAAs.
But then that's playing intelligent basketball when you know you have the foul situation on your side. To be able to initiate some of that contact too, smartly, to get yourself to the free throw line.
18 on the night for Quentin Gooden. And the crowd here at the Cintas Center is beginning to smell a senior night win and a guaranteed piece of the Big East regular season title. White with a leaner.
I like the move. That time he knew Makura couldn't play aggressive defense, so he caught spin, made a quick move, actually jumped into JP, trying to cause a foul, but able to get there and score.
13 for Malik White. Cooley wants his team to play straight up defensively on this trip. Why? That's not a foul you want to give. Jackson on an overplay with the clock winding down against Gates.
But why?
Yeah.
I mean, Gates has his back to the basket. He's going to have to catch and square up. But you're trying to go for a home run steal. And again, you send an 80+% free throw shooter to the line to knock in a potential 2 points. Not smart defensive basketball that time by Xavier Jackson.
The emotions sometimes take over. They really do. Not to defend it. It was obviously not the play you wanted to make, especially with the clock winding down. And they had used up all but 13 seconds on the shot clock.
Yeah, no excuse, but the good teams understand time and score and
Absolutely
possession.
They do.
And you don't commit those kind of fouls. You just stay solid with your defense, because when Providence has been solid defensively, they come up with some key stops.
That was really on display in the game we had the other day with Villanova and Creighton. Why it was such an important game to watch. I think there was a clock situation that was settled there by John Gaffney. Cartwright on the floor, running the show with 4. And he isolates on the wing. Throws one up from the hip, falling to the seat of his pants, but Gates was on the inline. Stepped on the baseline, and Providence will control it.
Got away with it. I mean, I liked the attack that time by Cartwright, but he didn't have balance, and Gooden, with his strength and size, was able to take away that shot inside from Cartwright. But again, Providence with another possession to cut into this lead.
Diallo almost lost it, but retrieves it.
Look at the lineup for Providence. Basically, all guards the same, with Xavier, small ball in effect right here to end this game.
Diallo never got the shoulder square that time, and Najee Marshall brings it down off the deck. Big defensive sequence here. Providence 3 for 15 from beyond the arc. It's not been a good night from the perimeter for them. They need a defensive stop here. And yet another whistle, this one against Diallo. And that will put Blewett at the free throw line. Cooley still upset. I don't think there's any question that everyone knew this was going to be a physical game tonight. Ed was certainly aware of it, but he needed the whistle to be a little looser for his club to have a chance on the road, and it's been tight, to say the least. Xavier 17 of 19 at the free throw line, and they got more coming up. A moment ago, the last time this Xavier club won a conference title, it was in 2011. Final home game that year, Xavier 14-1 in the A-10, facing a team that had given them their only conference loss, led by Dante Jackson and Jamel McLean. Tu Holloway was also a star on that team. The Musketeers routed Charlotte 68-48. It was their 5th straight, by the way, in that league, which tied an A-10 record at the time. In 17 Atlantic 10 seasons, Xavier won the outright or shared the regular season title 9 times and won 4 A-10 tournament titles. And now they got a chance to put that Big East banner up there. And think about, from a memory of Skip Prosser, by example, and so many others that coached here and did a great job, what it would mean at this level, at the Big East level, to get a regular season share of a conference title.
Well, to get to that number 9, you got to start with 1. Okay,
yeah,
and the first one, they always say, is the hardest to get, and then you understand what it takes to win it, especially in this league. So closing it out here, but if I'm Chris Mack too, things of improvement still need to be made, but you got a lot of time left in this game.
No timeouts remaining, though, for PC. They've used their last. Here's Cartwright again, willing his way to the rim, out of bounds. Last touch by Xavier. It's been an uphill battle all game long for Providence. 9-2 run to open the game for Xavier. Way too many turnovers by the Friars. Foul difficulty. After making the first hoop of this half and cutting it to 40-39, they surrendered 11 unanswered, and it's been really Xavier's game since. Jackson in traffic. It's rejected. And in this half, Jim, Providence is 0 for 7 from downtown.
Well, that's not the strength of this team. The strength of this team is to be able to create havoc on the defensive end, create some opportunities, drive to the basket, get offensive rebounds.
That's a shot Lindsay can many times make. It went crying there, and the rebound by Najee Marshall.
Well, I go back to digging yourself a hole. Those early turnovers at the beginning of the game.
How about that work ethic? How about that work ethic by White? And did we get a travel? Oh, boy, we did. Ed may really lose it here. Wow.
I don't know. I thought that was a good play by Cartwright when he jumped over.
Yeah, I did too.
And maybe, let's see here, great hustle by Malik White, jumps over, puts the ball down. I don't think that's a travel.
Yeah. He put the ball on the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, he put the ball on the deck.
Simultaneously, as he came down, the ball was coming down to the ground and he released it.
Yeah, I can see why John may have anticipated the walk. And these are good officials, no doubt, but that was one that they missed.
John is my man. I love him to death, but you missed that one.
Yep. Well, foul the other way. That's against McCura, and he's done. That's his fifth. The end of J.P. McCura's career. He's always taking chances. That time he got one on the offensive end. He's going to get a couple of licks in. But a standing ovation for this young man, who I believe, Jim, has played his way into a position to maybe play beyond the collegiate level.
I had the pleasure of riding on the plane from Kansas City with his aunt and then meeting his mother.
Yeah.
And they showed me a lot of pictures. To an easy basket.
Marshall goes down.
But on JP, you know, one of the questions I asked his mom, I said, at what point did you have to take the sugar away? And she said, no, JP really never ate sugar. He was just a hyper kid. She said she had a timeout section at the house in the corner.
Yeah.
When JP messed up, he automatically knew, said, Mom, so that's where I got to go.
Mom, by the way, did bring the maternal grandpa, who's he's very tight with, Jan Ludvigsen, here, and they were part of the ceremony together. Yeah.
Not deterred. He was one of those kids that in the neighborhood, he was younger, that played with the older guys that would get under their skin a lot like he does when he's out here on the court.
Yeah.
But to watch and to listen to his mom kind of talk and beam in glory and joy about his youth, but where he's come and how proud, just like any other parent, of their young man, is just incredible to hear those kind of stories.
I think the relationship, too, is a kindred spirit with Chris Mack, because I'm old enough to remember Chris's days as a player. And Mack, he had the same sort of, you hated to play against him, but you loved to have him as a teammate mindset. Here's White in traffic, count it, and a foul.
Well, if you think about it, though, and let's, still a minute left, a lot of time, but Xavier, they win this game. There's still some things they need to clean up.
Absolutely.
In the past, the Xavier team, and it's happened a lot this year, those lapses of concentration that allow a team to get back in. Now, every team has it.
Yep.
But what you want to do is limit that, especially when you start to get into tournament play where it's a one-game scenario. Those 3 to 5 minutes of lapses could ultimately come back to haunt you where you can't recover. And the good teams limit those in order to continue to advance. And that's what they did last year to advance all the way in NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. Blew it. An emphatic and authoritative dunk for the second all-time leading scorer in Xavier history. And the coronation for the crown is underway. Still some work to be done to say it's all yours, but they'll have a piece of it after this tonight. Blew it. Fouled from behind. Got to think maybe Chris Mack is saying to himself, will I give him a curtain call after a free throw?
Of course. You got to. You got to let him soak it up. And he's meant so much for this program. Again, a lot of games left to play. When you talk about development of a player, who would have thought coming in? We knew you had high expectations, but we're rethinking second all-time leading scorer, a potential national player of the year. You know, that's all the hard work. He transformed his body after his freshman year. He grew into the player that we see right now, and all that hard work's paid off. So he deserves to walk off this court with a standing O.
So Mack is saying to him, make both free throws.
No, he's saying to himself, I get 2 more points and have 23 from a score.
Yeah.
Trust me.
But
I don't give away free points.
Yeah, I know Mack wants to give him that opportunity to get the kind of curtain call a player of his caliber deserves. Indianapolis, Indiana, Park Tudor High School.
I tell you, I never had the opportunity to participate myself in the senior day because I left in my junior year, but I went through 2 of them at Ohio State, and it's always emotional. You think you're prepared for it, you know, but when you see your teammates go through it and the emotions come out, you're just extremely happy and proud to be a part of it.
Even Cartwright just gave Blewett a little thumbs up there, as if to say, enjoy it.
Well, Cartwright has one coming up on Saturday, so.
Yeah, he does. Take it all in.
Get your money, baby.
Take it all in.
Get your money.
Trayvon Blewett. This is what the game's all about right here.
Let it breathe a little bit. There it is.
A lot more of these stories out there than people want to realize in the college game. And there's Ashton Langford taking it in for the hoop and the harm. But you look around, though, Jim, at the teams, the real strong teams that have a chance to win it all this year. Say what you want about the level of play at the college level. Most of those teams are veteran teams, teams that have, at their core, senior leadership.
Well, Virginia, Purdue, Villanova, the Xavier team, Texas Tech, you got across the board, and it's a reason why they're right at the top and don't have the fluctuations as much as a younger team. But again, in a one-game scenario, that's what you're going to lean on. You're going to lean on that kind of experience to be able to propel you through and get through some of the tough games you're going to face.
Well, listen, this is a game that the Providence Friars wanted. They really felt like they had a good shot at it from a matchup standpoint. But they've got their chance at a home win to close out their season to solidify themselves for an NCAA bid. But for Chris Mack and the Xavier program, this is a great opportunity for them to make some history. Well, Xavier had made their last 10 at the free throw line before that miss. I waited because I didn't want to jinx Najee Marshall.
Well, you thought it too hard.
Yeah, well.
See, that's the problem.
I got Ethan
Get
Cooper.
it out.
Yeah.
If you put it in the air, you put it in the atmosphere, now you jinx it.
I've got Ethan Cooperson here for a reason, and I didn't want to jinx the poor kid. But we also have to pay Ethan. So
no, we is plural. I don't speak French. You got to pay Ethan. I took Spanish in school, you know what I mean?
It's taken a while to get these last few seconds out of the way. Cantor picks up that foul. All that's left is the final total, but Isaiah Jackson to the free throw line. Last year, you'll recall, Xavier probably needed to win in that quarterfinal game in the Garden against Butler to even get a bid. And they made it all the way to the Elite Eight. If they get the right matchups, Jim, this team is as dangerous as any to make it to the final.
It's all about matchups. I mean, that's the thing about it when you get into a one-game scenario. You may be a higher seed, and trust me, I've experienced that before. Where you're the higher seeded team, but you end up going up against a team that's not the kind of matchup you want. But
I remember that day in Lexington.
Well, I remember that day against St. John's my sophomore year, where we were the #1 seed in the Silver Dome and got it handed to us. So it's never guaranteed because you're a high seed, but this Xavier team has as good a chance as anybody to advance deep on NCAA tournament.
Chris wants to get some of his seniors in there that have not had the opportunity. Singleton, get him into the game. He's participated in 4 times. He was in the band a year ago. He's participated in only 4 games, and he comes in for O'Mara. So Sean gets his curtain call. And what a performer O'Mara has been in his career.
Solid. You know, through the lean years when he trying to figure out what kind of player he's going to be, he continued to work hard. And now he's rewarded with playing and potentially being crowned Big East champion.
Well, they get their piece of the pie. A Big East championship in the regular season. Chris Mack's got one to go along with those A-10 titles. Now a Big East. Xavier wins it by 10. Let's send you now to the second half of our doubleheader. Gus Johnson and Bill Raftery.